I was told to deliver this message. You think you're invincible because you got money, bombs, guns, and planes, killing babies, innocent people. I think you're insane. Chaos and destruction is the name of your game. Somebody's got to stop you before the whole world goes up in flames. So he told me to tell you, I'll fight
for my brothers. We can go to war. Fighting for my father, I will give my life for. I feel so alone in this white man's world. Whip it in the kitchen, watch that white turn pearl. Standing on the corner, standing on my phone. Standing with my gangsters, but I'm standing on my own. If you got to be alone, split you like you be alone. Sacrifice my life, understanding each his own. Toast to the keys of success. Bel Air rose on my breath. I've been a student since '03, and we can fight till we see peace.
I fight like that. 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 I fight like that.
Let me holler at you for a minute, give you game. Real scrappy, love to bada Buddha bang. Trigger happy, and everybody in the game. You shot your family and didn't even know it, man. Same rules, same code, with a different slang. Struck him out, now they took him out the picture frame. Mama, don't cry, we gon' get by. 2 weeks later, got killed in a drive-by. Why must we fight amongst each other? Reach one, each one, teach one, my brother. I teach them how to fight on the grass and in the class. Snoop Dogg, all stars, yes sir, they coming fast. D1, football, we won. Now proud of my son, Lil Snoop, yes sir, cause he won. Right on, SC, fight on. We 100, keep it coming, dip, slip, slide on, light on.
I fight like that. 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 I fight like that.
Watching the warriors, the story of the rebels. You from the ghetto, did you know never to settle? I'm shooting common on the streets, I'm a pharaoh. Battling in African-American apparel. Fists on a t-shirt, youngins doing street work. Grinding till they teeth hurt, that's because they need work. Working till the feet hurt, trying to get my soul right. Used to be on old bikes, serving them that cold white. Wars in the winters, the block is hot in summers. Today's mathematics, we know it's strength in numbers. To the bosses and the runners, the hustlers and the stunners. We fight for the hundreds, we fight for the oneness.
He fights with the heat. He fights with the sleet. He said, I am who I am. I can't be beat. Nobody has won a war against me. I fight like that. 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 I fight. All of the nations of the earth as we speak are angry. They're angry because governments cannot suffice the needs of their people. They're angry because a few have gotten wealthy at the expense of the many, and the poor and the sick and the weak and the unlearned multiply. And the value of their lives are diminished by the rich and the powerful, so that when human life is devalued, that in the eyes of man you are unworthy of the gift of life. then it is easy for another human being to take the life of another human being that he or she has devalued. Black life in America is devalued. Hispanic life is devalued. Even poor white life is devalued. There's a way that I have to behave. I'm free, but I'm not free to rob you of yours. I'm not free to take from you what does not belong to me. So if I will construct my life according to these righteous principles, then between man and man, man and woman, peace. Between race and race, peace. Between rich and poor, peace. We have our beautiful Mexican family. This once was theirs. So you can't say to them they are aliens. That's a horrible word to use for former owners. I see my indigenous family here. Many tribes, but they're really one great nation of people that now must be reunited with themselves. So it's their time now, as well as ours, that God would intervene in our affairs and bring the bottom rail to the top. The government is not rehabilitating soldiers. When they send you away to kill. When you come home, they gotta reconstitute you for civilian life again. Make sure you have a job so you can take care of your family, but they're not doing it. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, a woman can do anything that a man does, and the only thing he forbids the woman to do is the thing that degrades her. So how high can you go? High as you want to. Why would God allow the female to wear his attributes if you can't be a manifestation of that attribute? Women, you got to be set free. What God has put within you must be cultivated, must be developed, and must be used for the advancement of a nation and a world. I said to myself, Mr. President, why the hell don't you go to the wicked police department? Why the hell don't you stand up and tell them that your killing of black youth and brown youth is not gonna hold no more? Why don't you stand up? God's world is in need of a truth that will set up a government where everybody can live in peace under real freedom, real justice, and real equality. This city has always fascinated me, the city of Frankfurt, known to be a city of trade and economic growth. As a kid, I was amazed by handing over a piece of paper for ice cream, toys, and candy. Handing over such a paper and receiving a toy racetrack in return, I just could not believe it. Where could I get this magic paper? This idea I couldn't get out of my mind. I started asking questions and read every book I could find. I learned the money was backed by gold as a paper form to save us carrying it around. Something of real value behind the paper. But everything was changed. The value was kept, and the gold standard, as it was called, was abolished. Since then, the value of money has been the biggest lie of all. The dollar bill is now just a paper subject to inflation and devaluation. This must stop. The solution returning to a piece of gold that you can actually hold, and it holds value or even better cash gold, paper pressed and refined with real gold. A masterpiece solution, a forgery-proof, totally digital cryptocurrency. Here I am in the city of money, but not as a banker or a gold dealer. The Frankfurter Book Fair has invited me to read from my books that will help the world believe in gold again. Think Big will help show people how to be successful. I am very proud to be here.
Everything's always about the dream. Always about the dream. I was 20 years old. I'd already done 6 years in corporate America. And a guy stopped me in the locker room and asked me, do I know anyone who'd like to make an extra $1,500 a month? He didn't talk about getting rich. He didn't talk about getting wealthy. He didn't even talk about freedom. So you don't have to oversell this thing. You know, the average person would love to make an extra $300 to $500 a month. So we talk about putting millions of people in carry bars. Now we're talking about 20, 30, 40 million people in carry bars. We're not talking about everybody become a multi-billionaire. You can, if you want to pay that price. I hear people all the time say, I want to be a billionaire. Well, okay. No problem. I want to be a multi-millionaire. Well, you can. Okay. But it's going to require you cutting off the television. It's going to require you missing some football games, some basketball games. It's going to require some sacrifice on part that only you know if you're willing to make. So I like keeping it simple. That guy asked me, do I know anybody like to make an extra $1,500 a month? I said, yes, me. I didn't know what he was talking about, and I got excited. I got a little bit excited. I got a twinge of hope. There I was 6 years in corporate America. I mean, I'm 20 years old. Had my own home, 4 cars in the driveway, pool in the backyard. My wife was a flight attendant, so I could fly anywhere in the world pretty much for free or for peanuts. Okay, I had all the cars I wanted to drive, didn't buy insurance, didn't put gas in them. The company fed me 5-6 nights a week. I'm living on a company expense report. I mean, I live a lifestyle people dream about. I wore my shirt and tie to work, my briefcase. I look good, status good, but as far as I was concerned, I was still broke. Not broke compared to my next door neighbor. Not broke compared to the guys in my neighborhood. Just broke compared to people who had some real money. That makes sense. Just broke, like one of my nephews one day asked me, Uncle Tyrone, people in the family say you're rich. I said, well, compared to you, I'm rich. You don't have any money. But compared to Oprah, Uncle Tyrone broke. Okay, so it's a relative term. Money is relative. And money is not to do all to say all. Okay, because when you have some serious health issues going on that money can't solve, you realize how unimportant money is. But I tell you what, I got started. And I'll never forget that first meeting I was sitting in, Mr. Williams, Miss Abram. I'll never forget it. I'm sitting at first meeting on about 200 people in that room, maybe 180, 200 people. And that guy was talking about homes and cars. He was talking about all these material things you could have. But I'm sitting saying, man, I got 4 cars in the driveway now. I got 2 Lincolns in the driveway, a Ford Mustang and a Grand Marquis, 2 company cars and 2 I own. I was just sitting there, didn't mean anything to me. But all of a sudden, he started talking about something that meant something. He said, have you ever thought about being free? Now, as far as I was concerned, I thought I was free. I mean, he talking about the height of ignorance. I thought I was free. He said, ever thought? No, I mean really free. I said, I'm free right now. He said, I know that some of you are sitting there thinking you're free. He said, if you think you're free, don't show up on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and by Thursday, you'll be free. And when he said that, it hit me. I was not free. He said, freedom is when you throw away the alarm clock and you sleep to the crack of noon. Freedom is when you wake up in the morning and do what you want to do with your life. Freedom is when you go to that golf course on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday and play golf when everybody else is at the office. Freedom is when you go fishing on Tuesday, Wednesday. Freedom is when you stroll in the movies with your kid on a Wednesday afternoon and there's nobody in the movie theater but you and your child because everybody else is at work. Freedom is when all the fathers at work and you're the only father at the Little League baseball game with your kid or your grandkids. Man, he started painting that picture for freedom, guys. And I never forget, I sit up in my chair. I said, wait a minute, what's this freedom thing you're talking about? Okay. And it blew my mind. He asked a simple question. What's retirement age? Everybody started yelling out numbers. 65, 75. So see how we've been conditioned? Retirement doesn't have anything to do with age. Retirement has everything in the world to do with money. This couple speaking from the stage were 32 years old. He and his wife were both retired. 2 brand new Cadillacs in their driveway, owned their brand new home. And they were both retired at 32 years old. I said, oh my God, I got to get this freedom thing. Okay. And I didn't know. I know how long it's going to take me to get free. Some of you right now today, you don't know how long it's going to take you to get free. You want to be free right now, you can taste it. I see Dante Taylor, he can taste it, man. He can taste it. I can hear it in his voice. He can take up. He can taste this freedom thing. They want it, but you're willing to pay the price to get it. When I saw it, I was willing to pay the price. Man, before then, I knew every television program that came out. I was a walking TV guide. You could call me and say, what time did the show come on, Tyron? I didn't have to put out the news, but I could tell you what time it came out. I was a walking TV guide. Okay? I spent the weekend watching football like everybody else. But when I saw freedom, when I saw that freedom thing, when I was sold that dream of freedom, man, I shut it all down. I said, I'm going to freedom. And at 32 years old, I was able to, my wife and she was able to walk away from a job she'd been on for 8 years as a flight attendant for U.S. Air. And she walked, yes, we gave up the flying privileges. Yes, we gave the benefits. Yes, we gave up the stock options, gave it all up. Okay, why? So I had a kid and he didn't even know his mama. He'd come home and she'd go to reach for him and he'd run because she's flying and she didn't know him and he didn't know her. Okay, it was breaking her heart. I said, quit. She walked away at 32 years old. My son don't even remember. He's 32 right now. He don't ever remember his mother having a job. It took me 8 more years. I didn't retire till I was 40 years old. I'm telling you, I'd do it all over again. It took me 20 to walk into a job you've had for 10 years, 18 years in corporate America and say, I'm out and never look back. That was July 14th. July 14th. That's tomorrow. That'll be 22 years. Freedom. What it's all about.
It absolutely is. That's what it's all about, folks. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to a Monday morning edition of Classes in Session. I'm your brother and your friend, Brother Eric Teray Muhammad. And it's going to be a little different this week. This week is dealing with a real focus. Not that we don't always deal with a focus, but we want to penetrate those previously unforeseen ability to break through and burst forth and receive your blessing of abundance, our blessing of abundance. And it's done through identifying, analyzing, and observing, those things that serve as enemies to our success. And I shared with us last week how if you want to be wealthy, you study wealth. Okay? If you want to be happy, you study happiness. And you surround yourselves that feed that study, that support that study, that allow you to grow with your observations, with your findings, so that you can be the you that you desire. So today, this week, all of this week, I'm tearing up my book. We're going to be utilizing and working from the works of Mr. Ty and Valerie Best, Enemies of Your Success, a guide to identifying and overcoming the obstacles to achievement in network marketing and life. Now, what makes this so significant in my mind is that this is not a guide on how to be successful. When you read the title in itself, it's already telling you that you already are successful. The enemies of your success are those things, those impediments, and sometimes people who stand in wait of your success. You're already successful. It's been deemed, but there are things along the way. You have a seed, and that seed is determined to be a tomato, and you plant that seed. It's going to be what it is. It is determined as a tomato. That tomato seed will not be an apple. That tomato seed will not be a banana. That tomato seed is going to be a tomato. It's already that. Okay? But depending upon the enemies around the soil, the enemies and scavengers that are seeking the seed, depending on how well you protect it, how well you maintain it, determines the success being realized. And this is the opportunity we have in front of us. We are already successful. We have already been given the tools by which to do those things and to have the abundance that has been already determined. You see, and we are absolutely positioned. Okay, so I want us to think about the things that we're going to share with you today. We do have a couple of housekeeping rules, of course. I mean, when do we not? All right, but I really want to move time along to deal with the presentation that we have for us this morning, and it's going to jumpstart the remainder of our week, folks. Okay, so let's look at what we have. Now, we are going to be studying the first 5 enemies of success. And when I say the first 5 enemies, these are the first 5 chapters of this wonderful book. Because to know what we're faced with is critical. We have to understand what we're faced with. Lack of vision, fear of rejection, imagined status, inability to focus, excuses. We're going to analyze those today as the opening, and we'll probably be dealing with it throughout the week as we get to the remaining 5 chapters of the book. But we want you to know and understand that it's all geared toward your ability to succeed in life. Network marketing is that opportunity that allows you to build an empire. It allows you to live a lifestyle above and beyond that of the wage earner. Now, of course, it's relative. There are times when you'll come across wage earners who only want to do just that. Mr. Best talked to me one day, and I believe he shared it in presentations as well. There's a gentleman in his town, Newport News, Virginia, who always knew he wanted to be a bus driver. That's what he wanted. He determined that's what he was going to be. And he trained for it, got the proper licenses, and that's what he did. For 50 years, he was the happiest cat on the planet because He lived his dream. Now, to us, it may be limited, but for him, it was all and everything. And he lived that dream. He lived it. He believed on it. He claimed it, and he lived it. Okay, so it's not to say that the wage earner can't have that opportunity. However, there are many of us who know that there's more to us than life is currently exhibiting. And that's not up to anyone or anybody but ourselves. So how do we make that happen? How do we put ourselves in the position to realize that suppressed gift of abundance that's in a good many of us? So we're going to analyze some of that today. Okay. Housekeeping rules, of course. Class in Session, family, is every Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. Eastern. Every Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. Eastern. You want to be a part of it, as many of you are, and many of you are sharing, and I'm extremely grateful. We will not abuse your time. We promise you that. We promise you that, because we only deal out of what we've been made to know, and then we develop that which we know in the effort and the pursuits to enhance our individual lives and give us the ability to be the true servant leaders all of us are, no matter what opportunity we're in, to do just that with other people. So Class in Session every Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. right here on the Eric Teray Muhammad Facebook page. Okay. And then, of course, you always pay yourself first. I know some of us experienced a little glitch in the system last night, and it's been corrected, I believe, in order to deposit your cash gold. I had an experience where you could not see the transaction go through, but in my back office, the gold was there. All right. So, and then it eventually caught up to itself. So I guess it was just one of those delayed glitches or whatever you want to call it. I don't want to give it a definition other than the fact that it's something that's in progress. I know it worked for me today. You pay yourself first. Pay yourself first. Your future will thank you later. I say often, and I'm sharing with those who may not have heard, when you looked in that mirror this morning, or if you have not looked in the mirror this morning, make sure you do. Okay. And I want you to introduce yourself to that older version of you inside. So if you're 60 yesterday, like our sister Deborah, she turned 60 yesterday. And my little sister, her birthday's today, Monica. And, you know, when they look in these mirrors and they say, oh, my goodness, depending on your mindset, you might say, oh, man, I can't believe I'm getting up there in age. No, you're not getting up there in age. You are already that. You're just preparing the stage for the 61 that comes out of you, or the 70 or the 90 that comes out of you. So what you do with your time today now is critical to how well that 60 or 70-year-old inside of you takes the stage, that 90-year-old takes the stage, that 15 or that 30-year-old takes the stage. How well you prepare your future for that next one to come to the stage is a task that only you can perform, and you can start today. Pay yourself first. Okay. And of course, you want to get your tickets. www.run2wealth.info. www.run2wealth.info. Okay. Screenshot it, share it out to as many people as you like. The early bird tickets are only $11 for a multi-million-dollar experience. Think about it. There's nothing but wealth oozing off of that platform. Of course, I'm standing in the corner. I don't necessarily have the wealth of those greats that we'll be presenting. I'm just sort of trying to hang on to their coattails and ride and learn. But you're going to get particulars from experts on planning family trust, protecting your wealth for years, hundreds of years. Estate planning, very important. personal banking, private banking strategies of the wealthy, land and real estate acquisition, and of course, our gold accumulation. Why is it so powerful? Why is it so necessary? And what kind of mindset do you have to make all those things happen? So it's a cronkatizing event. I say cronk because I'm thinking crunk. All right. But what it's going to do is going to allow you, the asset millionaire and the asset billionaire, when things become tangible for you, liquid for you, you won't have the mindset of a thousandaire with $1 million. Last week, there was a story that came out, 2 stories, both out of Florida. And there are a lot of people who jumped on getting these business grants and never had actually a business. And so the government started cracking down on a couple of them because they made themselves, I guess, seen. So you had one gentleman who received up to $3 million in grants, and he spent $2 million of it in the first week. And now they pulled it back and they're looking for the rest. And then you have another gentleman who got listen to this, $9 million. And he lost it all in Las Vegas during the Rona. So the mindsets that we've been conditioned with speaks volumes to the slave mechanism and how we enslave ourselves, and how suicidal we have been through our lives when it comes down to finances. And I'm going to tell you, financial literacy is something that was kept from us by design. In the congressional records, you'll find there were 3 sciences that weren't to be taught to the former slave. The first one was the science of business. The second one was the science of warfare. And the third was the science of breeding or mating. Those 3 sciences will keep an entire civilization decimated or dismantled, non-functional. Okay? And then, as we did in earlier class and sessions, when we shared with you the Willie Lynch letter, it wasn't just applicable to the African now slave. It was also applicable to the mindset that was necessary for the society to survive. They needed workers. They didn't need dreamers. They didn't need connectors. They needed workers. Okay, so now, not only do we have and are in the position to flip that script because God has brought the wealth to us 1 gram at a time or less. We're accumulating it. We're developing an education surrounding it. But now we must have the education that teaches us how to preserve it, how to grow it, how to secure it, how to make it the legacy wealth that we know that it is. How do we maintain it? How is it going to be maintained well after we're gone? Many of us say it in theory, but there's some of us who know actually factually how to produce it. And you're going to learn those entities or those aspects from this session that day. So the 2020 Paper to Gold Run to Wealth Conference and Expo takes place on the 22nd of August from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. And our notables there, they're all doctors and professors in my estimation, because they all know how to operate. So we have Sister Kimberly Broom, Attorney Kenneth Harrison, Brother Tony Chambly. We have Mr. Tyrone Best, and we have Mr. Michael L. Dalco. You can't ask for anything better. So you want to be a part of it, okay? 10:45 a.m. today, we have, I'm about to say Chef Dwayne. Will he be cooking it up too? Coach Dwayne Taylor and the Mighty Power Call at 10:45 a.m. And then, of course, right after that, immediately after that, the 12 noon presentation from Dr. Rhonda Hollins. You want to be there. There's no doubt about it. Share it out with your teams. Share it out with your families. Share it out with the guests and the first timers that you have. Get them to the Mighty Amazing Power Call today, 10:45 a.m. Eastern, on our events platform, www.goldrocks.info. And then stay there for the 12 noon presentation from Dr. Hollins. They did a wonderful tag team last night, her and Ms. Tanisha Glaspie. It was outstanding. I had a blast. Okay. And then you want to make sure you're there at 9 p.m. Tonight, we have the next presentation. We do 12 noon and 9 p.m. Eastern every Monday through Saturday on the Gold Rocks platform. And on Sunday evenings, we do the 9 p.m. training. Okay. Tonight, it may be Mr. Dalco. I know Mr. Roger Williams is hanging out somewhere in the background. He's one of the Grand Wizards. So it's going to be an exciting Monday. Okay. And also on the Kafani Radio platform, we are back this week. And tonight at 8 p.m., you have Abundance as Your Birthright with Sister Hafisa Toure and Sister Katora Bryant. They are there at 8 p.m. Eastern this evening on the Kafani Radio Facebook page. Or let me just say the Kafani Radio International Facebook page from the Kafani Radio International Network. Shout out to Brother Khalid Muhammad. Okay, so we're going to start getting into this. The first 5 enemies, they do exist. They are real. Let's look at number 1, the lack of vision. The lack of vision. Now, there are times you're going to see things in black type in the presentation this week. That black type is me, not the words of Mr. Best or Miss Valerie Best. Those are my words, things that I didn't want to forget to elaborate on. Okay, but everything else comes from the book of Best. All right, lack of vision. Check this out. He says, he quotes from Proverbs by saying, without vision shall perish. You know, that is a true statement, because you'll just languish through life without a dream, without a desire. And we've heard from others in our class and sessions, when we heard from Jim Rohn, you know, who was probably the dean of personal development while he was amongst us. And he talks about, when do you build a house? When you finish it. When do you plan your week? When you finish it, when you end it. When do you plan your year? When you do it. What is he saying? You have to be able to see it in your mind. You have to be able to lay it down in order for you to work and grow into it. All right. The house you have to see before you get it. You have to know what it is you're trying to build from the ground up. You have to know what kind of house you're looking for when you go to the realtors. You have to know from the beginning what your dream is. Now, that's the why. Your dreams develop your why you do a thing. But you have to get on the pursuit. You have to be in the hunt. Your lack of vision or lack of dreaming will damn you to a mediocre life, a wandering generality. And we're more than that, each and every one of us. He says, ask yourself, where would you like to be? And give yourself timelines. Now, the note that I made was for me, but I thought it was applicable, because words can grow you and words can condemn you, you know, but it depends upon the mindset of the person, how it resonates. Okay, not so much the individual that shares it, but the one who is receiving. Because we've learned in this opportunity from Mr. Best, we have learned that you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. You can't say the right thing to the wrong person. Well, you can't, you just can't. You just can't. You see, how they receive it is on them, and it's about development at that point. It's about how you fashioned your mind, how you've trained yourself into your understandings. If you're responsible to yourself. If your training comes at the hands of others, then of course, you're at risk. You're at risk if you leave it in the hands of others. But when you have control, When you have control of how you think, how you perform, how you function, how you analyze, how you critique, when you have control of those entities, then you are better positioned to create the future that you desire. Mr. Best says, oh, so I only said to say is I don't like using deadlines. Dead doesn't signify any motion to me. Time does, because you can't have time without motion. So I love that Mr. Best chose the term timeline and timelines, because a deadline that limits you. Sure, you have benchmarks. You know, deadlines do exist. I write for the Final Call newspaper. I know that no matter how much I love a timeline, if I don't have that article by in at a certain time, guess what's dead? In the article, right? So timelines, you know, I love utilizing that because time dictates motion. It dictates motion. You cannot have life without time, and you cannot have time without motion. And the author of the time, he made time so precious that you can't get it back once it leaves. You can remember it, but you'll never live in it again. That's how valuable and how precious it is. Mr. Best says, I know how important it is to have a vision for the future, because when I look back on this period in my life, I realize it was the most non-productive and self-destructive time in my life. And all around me and throughout the world, I see people with problems. But what I see most is people without dreams or a vision for their future. I see people without hope. Wow. Wow. Hey, Brother Kansu, Hotep Atum, Brother Daniel Hickens, oh, Brother Ontario. Good to see you, brother. Think about what's being said there. Excuse my typo. It'll be clean by tomorrow. Mr. Best was explaining how he came through life a training. And if it were not for people who guided him in the way he developed his mindset, his thinking, his thought process, then he could have missed out on living and being able to see in others what was set for him. You know, it's like, there by the grace of God, there I go. When you see these kind of things happening in front of you and you recognize that they're happening, that means you're alive, you're awake. So now what do? You best to look at that example or that experience of others and get to moving, putting something in place for yourself, so that you don't end up killing that in you, only to find yourself wondering, being that wondering generality. He said, I know how important it is to have a vision for the future, because when I look back on this period in my life, I realized it was the most non-productive and self-destructive time in my life. And all around me and throughout the world, I see people with problems. But what I see most is people without dreams or a vision for their future. I see people without hope. Family, we said last week, before we close out the class in session, we talked about how the fact that there are 8 billion people now in the world. And all it says to us, if we're really wise, with all the innovation, with all the technology, with all that we have in our possession from the grace of God and through the emergence of a Dr. Harold Constantine Zeiss, what we have in our possession right now is the absolute hope for the world, but we're behind. Even though we're ahead of time with the technology, even though we're ahead of time with the innovations, even though we're ahead of time with the patents and the privacy, even though we're ahead of time with gold being money and we have access to it, we're ahead of all of those who are now striving or having to strive in that way because the balloon has burst. There are a people languishing in hope. There are people who were dependent upon that which is now exposed as being not only irrelevant, but being an illusion at best, that you can hold on to a piece of paper and grow your wealth, that you can hold on to a piece of paper and chart a new course and a new destiny for your life. It does not have that power or capacity any longer, because the paper does not have an asset backing it. Therefore, it cannot store you and the value you have in yourself, and it cannot store you and the work or the labor that you put into your life or to your existence. So we're behind because with all the new, there's so many who do not know. And that is our charge. That's our charge. Chapter 2, he talks about fear of rejection. That's probably my most favorite aspect of this opportunity because I did not understand really what that meant. Even in my propagating my faith, I'm working with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I'm going day in, day out, going door to door, speaking to everybody I can about this truth. And I used to get upset sometimes when they said no. I used to get upset when my family said, "No, get out of here with that." They said it a lot. I'm saying it a lot nicer than they did. Okay. But, rejection has been such a strong part of all of our lives. But if we understand it in the value as a value system, we'll grow. Mr. Best said, quote, fear is false evidence appearing real. We have developed this fear from early childhood, and by the time we are 18 years old, we have heard the word no over 20,000 times. We associate no with a negative experience, and we will go through almost anything to avoid hearing this word, especially if it's in response to a request. Now, I dare to say here in 2020 that the purchasing strength of the dollar has gotten so bad, the power of it is so diminished that 90% of all of our problems in the household are financial. That's why mother and father can't stay home any longer. That's why you can't have just if you have a two-parent home, one stays home and the other goes and collects the bread. It doesn't work like that any longer because there's no power behind the bread they're bringing. So you need two people to go out and get the loaf. You need 2 jobs. You need 3 jobs. You need 2.5 jobs. You need side hustles. You need all these things to try to match up. But what happens? It destroys the quality of life because you no longer know your wife, your husband, your helpmate. You no longer know your life source as parents to a child, or you no longer know your children as the parent because you're gone all the time and they're made to fend for themselves sociologically. It's crazy how it happens. And then we find ourselves falling out of sorts with each other. And if we're not able to reel it back in, we'll fall out of love with each other. And that is a cardinal sin. All right. But what produces that? What makes that to be the reality? The lack of the things that allow you to feel your dreams. When you lack real money, then everything else is, all the anxieties are exacerbated. All the tensions rise because you can't see past the immediate need because there's an immediate need. Whenever you're made to figure out, do I eat today or just drink water? Damn. Hey, Brother Samuel X, Assalamu alaikum. You understand, 90% of all of our issues in our household are financial. How do you know? Because you have control of everything else in the household but the finance. Oh, yeah. You may turn the key to the door and walk in and you feel like king of the castle. Let rent be due and you ain't got it. Let a utility bill come about and you're late. You understand? You come into the house and you should be able to declare that it is done, that it is resolved, that it will be because you are. But the only many of us, we are late to work. So we run out the house and we run out to go out there and wax someone else rich, hoping that there's enough in it that allows us to calm the stress levels under the roof. We have to gain greater control. So the fear of rejection, look, this is my take on it. Here's Mr. Best. What I started to say to you was the fact that I really believe that we hear no more than 20,000 times now because of the state of the economy and the crisis, and especially now with the pandemic where everyone is sheltered in place, and now we have to learn each other over because we believed on a system that has failed us. It's a challenge, okay? When I would come to our public events, our live events, and I would be asked to talk about rejection and the fear of it, I always compared it to service because I was in hospitality before coming to Carrot Bars, and I understood how you had to have certain things in place. So I use the example of the beverage. You brew coffee because in your hotel restaurant, you're offering coffee to people, you're offering teas to people, you're offering all kinds of beverages, and then you want to replenish it to keep them there and keep them feeling attended to. So you will come around with your pot of coffee and you will go around the tables and you go to each person at the table. More coffee, sir. More coffee, ma'am. They might say, yes, please, thank you. They might say, hell no, get that away from me. They might say, no, thank you, or can I have tea or water instead? You should not feel any kind of way. Why? Because what you're offering is a product. You're offering the product and you're offering him the opportunity to accept the product. It's an opportunity. Your only responsibility to it is, hey, do you keep your financial options open? Really? Would you like to see a video? Here you go. You go to the next one and they say, no, I'm not interested. It's not for me. What do? You don't get mad and throw your pot of product up against the wall. I'm tired of y'all coming. Don't y'all ever come back here no more. I'm not coming back here to do this anymore. No, you don't get that, because in our opportunity, in our profession, no is what we strive for. We want them. We want to hear them. We want to embrace as many of them as possible. We don't wallow in them, but we move them out of our way. We move them out of our way. The formula in networking success is every 100 people that you speak to, 20 will hear you, 5 will join you, and 2 will run. So if you're anything like I am, I speak to 100 people a day. Why? Because I eventually will grow a organization that will give me 2 runners every single day of the opportunity. It's math, and the math will not fail you. In fact, the math supports you. Because if you know that you're only going to get 80 no's, get them all out the way. People sort of think you're crazy when you start smiling and they say, no, I'm not interested. You say, well, thank you very much. You have a great day. Or it blows their mind sometimes when you say, well, maybe this is not for you, but maybe 2 others that might enjoy this opportunity of earning $1,500 a month part-time. You see? So you keep, every no gets you closer to the yes. Every single one. Okay? And it's just that powerful when you understand the rejection is not of you. The rejection is them fighting through their self-accusing spirit as to whether or not they can do a thing. It has nothing to do with you, but you have everything to do with your opportunity, with your business, with your life. Network marketing isn't only a profession, life itself is a profession. And when you learn how to overcome objections, when you learn how to overcome rejection, when you understand there's something and someone greater than your suffering, then your life experience is a joyful one, no matter who says what. Why? Because in the very beginning, you embraced a dream. And it had nothing to do with other people other than serving those people. Mr. Best closes that point where he says the foundation of your success is based on you consistently sharing your products and opportunity with new people. Why? Because it's a numbers game. The numbers support you. The numbers support you. The more you go out, the more no's you'll cull out of the population. The more no's you'll cull out of your purview. And the only thing you'll have in your sphere of influence are people who are ready to go. Look, you got to go after new people. You must go after new people, because new people won't leave you stagnant. New people will not leave you wallowing in doubt. What you experienced yesterday, new people don't know that today. What you struggled over yesterday, no one knows that today. Get through your struggles. Get yourself out of the way. All right. This is a big one. imagined status. Mr. Best says, quote, status, he defines it. Whew. Status, an over concern with other people's perception of your professional and material position in life. We're too concerned about what other people think. We're too concerned about what people think about how we look, how we dress, what we say, the way we enunciate, all that tra-la-la. You know, we are too concerned. He says, quote, we are a society obsessed with the symbols of success, especially financial success. Our status or imagined status at work, church, the community, or even at home is all that matters. This is a major enemy of success in network marketing. And until it is defeated, it will delay your progress and cost you time and money. Do you know that in the world of Carabal's International, it's free to join? And our product is money. Do you know that when you create an out-of-pocket expense by acquiring a package, that inside that business package is a model that already returns your cost? This is so simple, folks. All we have to do is sign up for free, save in gold, get a package, and tell two people to do the first two things we did. That's it. Right? But what happens when you start wallowing in no? Then you stop on the journey. When I did a presentation last night to the LinkedIn community after the training. Okay, and in that, it was a small one, but in that training presentation, a gentleman said, hey man, this is Carabal's. My mother used to be in Carabal's. What do you mean used to be? How can you used to be? Oh, then I said, oh, wait a minute. Did she pass? He said, oh no, thank God she's still here. No, but she doesn't do it anymore. I said, do you know that you can't quit Carabal's? It will keep giving. Gold is the gift that keeps giving. She has a package. This woman has a package. You know, and she's sat down on it, hasn't looked back at it since 2015. Can you imagine what might be going around in that system on her behalf? You allow it to cost you time and money when you make it about time and money, because this Carabal's is debt-free. We're a debt-free company. We don't carry any costs. I see the millennial god, Brother Jihad Billups, in the house. Happy belated birthday to you, sir. Do you know? When you stop doing, you cost yourself money. How many times have you heard you're leaving money on the table? Get a package, or you're leaving money on the table. All right, I think I beat that drum enough. Y'all know, right? Okay. Point 4, inability to focus. Quote, Mr. Tyrone Best says, focus, a point of concentration. I have seen very intelligent and experienced business people fall victim to one of the biggest myths in network marketing. You can build two companies at one time. Look, he says, this is a lie in bold. He says, this is a lie. I want to make this point very clear. It can't be done, hasn't been done, and probably never will be done, period. Now, he's been beating that drum lately a lot. He's been beating it lately a lot, and it's not a new thing, obviously. This publication came out, it was reprinted back in 2002, okay? Printed in 2002. So it was around years before he even came into Carabal's. This understanding. Listen, can you effectively, efficiently drive and read at the same time? Can you be in your vehicle driving down the street doing this and flipping pages as you drive? Can't do it, can you? Because the mind is not made that way. You know, you can have several tasks, but there's no such thing as really multitasking, because it doesn't give you the balance of effect. Okay, Two things can't occupy the same space at the same time. And that means that you might have two things going, but your energies will be divided. Your loyalties will be divided. Your attention is divided. Your commitment is divided. So you may have an opportunity here today in a program, and you have carrot bars, and you say, well, carrot bars are doing a lot for me. This will help too. So I'm gonna grow both into $1 million entities. You cannot do it. You may earn $1 million as a result of some from one and some from the other, but you can't grow both into $1 million entities. It can't be done because you don't have the ability. You're not naturally equipped to function that way. Even your freedom of will or freedom of choice, your decision making is all based off of energy placed in one direction. You cannot do both successfully at the same time. That drum is beating so much now because carrot bars is unlike anything any of us has ever seen in our lives, where you can literally earn 22 to 30 streams of income immediately right now as we speak. 30 different streams of income in the same opportunity that costs you nothing to be a part of and has no levels. The issue is, with all those streams inside the same opportunity, you still can only commit your time to make one of them successful inside the same opportunity. There are 2,000 people plus in my organization. But the left team doesn't always do what the right team is doing. You see? Or even in my efforts, if I'm focused on saving, I can't effectively focus solely on saving and then solely on getting packages. You know, remember, I'm saying and then. You have to shift from one to do the other. Or when the other innovations are announced this week, and look, you determine your goals inside of the vehicle that supports your dreams, and you move in them until you reach a certain point where now you can move up and on or over to the next one, but inside the same opportunity. And it's all real money. Okay. All right. And point 5 as we close out, excuses. Now I'm going to share something with you that was taught to me by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad from the work and the efforts of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and reading their works. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, if you allow the black man to make excuses, he will excuse himself straight into hell. Now that applies to everyone, but our focus in the 50s and 60s and 70s were rooted in the rise of black people. And excuses, Mr. Best says, quote, it just doesn't matter. The results are the same. You just didn't do it. Look, there's a difference between excuses and reasons. That's a fact. There's a reason why I can't be at a certain place today. There's a reason why I'm wearing suit and tie today. There's a reason why I do X, Y, and Z today or tomorrow. Those are reasons. Okay. Excuses are a little different. Excuses when you make up something to make yourself feel good about why you did not accomplish. If I can just point the finger away from me. And you ever heard how people talk about, yeah, when you point a finger, you got 3 and a thumb coming back to you? You know, so we have to learn how to own it. Mr. Best says, why no excuses? Because the results are the only thing that matter. You learn from results, good and bad. But what's most important is that you accept responsibility for the results. In network marketing, it is your business, and you must learn to accept responsibility for the success or failure of your business. Yep. Personally, I think we got enough in today as a base for where we're going for the week. It's just a base because I just shared a couple of sentences here and there out of these chapters that could really, each one could be expounded on for hours and hours and hours because we bring our own experience to it as well. But the brain, gifted mind of this man and his wife and their commitment. You cannot, I'm telling you, you cannot express enough the value of what they've done for a world by just sharing with us their possibilities. By sharing with us the possibilities. Look, let me put it this way. I study Mr. Best. I read him. I drink in his CDs. And I strive very mightily to do everything that he says to do. Why? Because when I study, if I wish to be wealthy generationally, I know that I didn't learn it in school. I know I haven't learned it in my life experiences, though I've had some great ones, meaning experiences. I've been all over the world. I've lived in many countries of this world. I've seen a lot of things. I've been blessed to see countries that I can't even spell, names of kings and rulers and queens that I can't even pronounce. I've supped with them. I've fellowshiped with them. I've been through a lot in this world. And I've never been the overly materialistic person. Of course, I like fine things, but I wasn't one terribly interested in going after wealth because subconsciously I didn't believe that I would see it in my lifetime. I want you to understand this before we close out. Okay? We've been in a position where we've had to deny ourselves for centuries to the degree that we've conditioned ourselves not to expect wealth to be a part of our life. You can get rich by accident. You can spend $100, $100,000 over the course of years and get a scratch card. And then all of a sudden, you're a millionaire. But scripture also says, a fool and their money will soon part. Why? Because if you're ignorant to how money works, if you're ignorant to what rich do to maintain money or turn it from rich to wealth, then you'll be poor in no time. That's why the fella can go out there last week with $9 million and blow every red cent of it gambling. So the denial of self. I have been positioned by God's grace, like most of you on this stream with Carabal's International. You have been positioned to study wealth from the wealthy and study it in a way where he's such an open book. He and Mrs. Best are such open books that they share with you every aspect of it, because just like the gold, there's nothing you can take from them. You cannot harm them for sharing the knowledge or imparting the knowledge to you. You can become part of this opportunity and you acquire gold. I can't take it from you. They unselfishly give of themselves, pour into us 37 years of network marketing that's honeycombed with life value systems. 100 years of freedom under the same roof. Children who have never even applied for a job, don't even know their darn social security numbers. That means something. If you listen to the minds of Gabe and Alex Best, when you listen to those men, you hear free thinking. They don't think like the average one who's been trained in society, because they were born free. Good gracious. Think about this. Look at it this way, and you'll see. Before many of us brought our children into public school, remember how our children used to count and how they used to do their alphabets? Remember how fast they were, how explosive they were with it? Before school now, before school. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why was that? Because they were learning from their foundation, their parents, free and unrestricted. We were learning inside of our homes. We go to school knowing all this. Oh, yeah, my baby is smart. She can do this, that, and the other. Give it 3 months. And that child that's counting 1 through 10 within seconds comes home and says, 1, 2. But what happened to all the speed, all the confidence? It was dumbed down. So yes, we didn't learn how to move with the same velocity. We didn't learn how to move with the same speed. We didn't know how to learn. We did not learn how to move with the same understanding, because it was not the job of the educator to educate us into wealth. The job of the educator was to do the bidding of the bankers that organized training in the name of education. All that gets busted up here. Enemies of your success means that you're already successful, but there are things in your garden that we have to weed out. There are things in our garden that we have to protect our crops from. Join us tomorrow. Class in session. I'll see all of us on the other side of the money, because I'm telling you the truth. I'm already there. Whoa! I'll see us all on the other side of money. We are going to get through all 10 chapters this week, but we're going to approach it in a way where it allows you to realize it. And if you really want to get a hold of this book that's been out of publication for a minute, y'all need to rally. Y'all need to rally and let Mr. Best know that you need another edition. You need this one. This is an autographed copy from he and the wife to my wife and I. And I cherish this book. I cherish this book. Not just this one. I have the others. You know, I have 103 Ways to Fail, you know, in network marketing. And of course, I have the Dream Chaser Manifesto. If I start pulling stuff out, it's going to start avalanching on me. But look, I would think that you would rally to Mr. Best, rally around the Dalcos, and learn what it is to do what it is that we have. Family, be a part. Make sure you're a part of our presentation on the 22nd. Make sure you're a part of it. Now that we've dug the well, now that the water will come, how do you maintain it? I'll see all of us again tomorrow on the next edition of Classes in Session. Love you all. I appreciate the time and energy and the commitment that you give. It fires me up each and every day. Okay, I have a really busy day in front of me, but you know, we can phone tag and messenger tag each other. Some of us I'll be reaching back out to just to follow up on things that we intended for this week. Peace and power, family. Forward.
Peace. Strong words. Love. Soul. And change. Yeah, this is Big Snoop Dogg coming at you live and direct. And I got something to say. You dig?
Let's change the world. Divided we fall, but united we stand. Let's change the world. No fights, no wars. Oh, let's learn to love again. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. Whoa, oh, oh. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. Let's make hope for the future.
Brother, what will you discover if we come together and do it like we never? I'm just sick and tired. I'm fit to light the fire. Now put this on the wire. The devil is a liar. I do this with no hesitation. Meet me at the reservation. Elevating, educating, meditating, concentrating. Replenisher, finisher, opposite of sinister. And I do it for the minister.
Let's change the world, divided we fall, united we stand. Let's change the world, no fights, no wars, so let's learn to love again. Let's change the world, let's change the world, let's change the world. Let's change the world, let's change the world, let's change the world. Let's make hope for the future.
Somebody need to stop the war. Man, the war ain't overseas, it's at your front door. And I done seen too many brothers shot up on the floor for more than drugs and some colors. And now you call us warlords. But if you can help it, then help it. But you ain't helping us. You so selfish and selfless, you wanna see us breathless and helpless. But I'ma hustle and tussle for all my brothers who struggle. Yeah, we bang the world. Now let's change the world.
Let's change the world, divided we fall, united we stand. Let's change the world, no fights, no wars, so let's learn to love again. Let's change the world, let's change the world, let's change the world. Let's change the world, let's change the world, let's change the world. Let's make hope for the future.
No killing, no shooting, no dying, no lying, no gang banging, so no more mamas crying. Everybody get along, man, that be the perfect song. Peace in the streets as I sit back on my phone, chilling with the president. He let me in the White House, back to the castle with the minister, no doubt. Shoes at the front door, love is what you come for. Let's get it right and unite, but do it
Let's
first.
change the world, divided we fall, but united we stand. Let's change the world, no fights, no wars, so let's learn to love again. Let's change the world, let's change the world, let's change the world. Let's change the world, let's change the world, let's change the world. Let's make hope for the future.